Hi there. This is a video about percent of a number. What we're going to be doing is we're going to be finding percents of numbers. We'll be able to find the parts and we'll be able to find the whole. Now what I want to do is write out this equation called P times B is equal to A. All right? And this is an equation that allows us to calculate the percent of a number. Now the P is going to stand for percent. Okay, but you want this in decimal form. So we got to make sure that we can take a percent and turn it into a decimal. The B, we're going to use the word of, okay? And then A, we're going to use the word is. All right, so I'm going to give you a couple of different examples and show you how we use this formula using these words to help us answer questions about percents of numbers. So on our first example, we're asking the question, what is 30% of 93? Now, we know our percent, all right? So we know our P, the B value, the of 93, that's our B, and we're asking what is, so that's our A. All right, so in this example, what I want to do is write out my formula, P times B is equal to A. All right, now we're finding 30%. Now 30%, when I say that P is 30%, that is a decimal. Move our decimal place over. I know that P is equal to 0.3, and you can put that 0 in there if you want to, but you don't really need to do that. My B value is equal to 93, and then we're solving this equation for A. We don't know what that is. All right, so what I'm going to do is just type, plug those numbers into our formula here. So we've got 0.3 times 93, and that's going to give us the value A that we're looking for. So you're going to want to use a calculator for this. And all we're doing is simply just multiplying 0.3 by 93, and that gives us our A value. So we get that our A value is equivalent to then 27.9, and that's our answer. So what we can say is that 27.9 is 30% of 93. Okay, on our next example, we're being asked 22% of what is 67. So I want to go through and label our information. This is my P value, that's my percent. Of what is our B value? And then is 67 is our A value. All right, so of tells me that it's B, is tells me that it's A. We're going to write out our equation here. P times B is equal to A. All right, now remember that if we have 22% and that's our P value, we want to turn that into a number. All right, so our P value, we want to write that as 0.22. And all I'm doing is taking my decimal place here and moving it 2 units to the left. All right, B value, we don't know what that is. All right, that's what we're looking for. We are given our A value, and our A value is 67. All right, so I'm going to take all these values here, plug them into our formula, and solve this equation for B. So from here, I'm going to write 0.22 times B is equal to 67. All right, and on this equation, what I want to do is divide both sides by 0.22. So divide by 0.22. This divides out on the left side, and so in your calculator, you want to do 67 divided by 0.22. And on this, we get a pretty big number here, and what we're going to do is round this to the nearest tenth. What we get in the calculator is 304.545454, and that repeats. All right, we're going to round this to the nearest tenth. So here's the 5. All right, that's my tenths place. I'm going to look at the number to the right, and because this number here is below 5, we're going to keep that number 5. So we're going to round this to the nearest tenth, 304.5. Okay, on this last example, we are calculating this. We're asking the question, 5.6 is what percent of 41? So again, I want to label this with P So what percent, that's what we're looking for, P. 5.6 is, that's our A value, and then of 41 is our B value. All right, remember we are using the equation P times B is equal to A. All right, and so let's just plug our numbers in. We'll talk about the percent here in a second, but percent, we don't know what that is, okay? We know that our B value is equal to 41. We know that our A value is equal to 5.6. All right, so from here we can plug those values into our equation, and we're going to write P times 41 is equal to 5.6. And we're going to solve this equation for P by dividing both sides by 41. Okay, your 41s divide out, and then you've got that P is equal to 5.6 divided by 41. Now that's what we're going to put in the calculator. And we end up getting a value, P is equal to 0.13658. All right, and the first thing I want to do is this is a decimal. All right, and I want to turn this into a percent. So I'm going to move the decimal place over 2 units, and we get that P is equal to 13.658. Let's round this to the nearest tenth. So let's locate our tenths spot. Let's look at the number that's to the right, because that number to the right of our tenth spot is 5 and above. We're going to increase the 6 to 7, and we're going to write our answer as P is equal to 13.7%. All right, so that's how you calculate percents of numbers. Please reach out if you have any questions. Thanks, bye.